Guys, welcome back to Magic TV. My name's Craig. It's 9 o'clock. It's time for a Talk Magic. And today I am sitting down with a true legend of magic in the UK. I say the UK. This is a guy that's traveled all over the world performing and creating magic. He's highly in demand as a creator and an innovator of very clever card material. I am, of course, talking about the one and only John Carey. How you doing, John?
Wow, I'm blushing already. Good
Hey,
evening,
man,
or
that's
whatever
true.
time of day it is here. Hi, everybody. Hi, Craig. And thanks so much for inviting me along. Been looking forward to this, and I've no idea what I'm expected to do, but I'll just be me, and we'll wing it. Yeah.
Well, we met each other many years ago, and I've always, I said on the channel recently, I don't know your work as well as I should do, but I know a lot of the stuff that you do, and it's always so clever and so well constructed. We looked at stealth on the review show recently, and that made Ryland an instant fan of yours.
Oh, bless him.
Well, both me and Ryland didn't really understand how the trick works. It's kind of, if you do this and you follow what John says in the instructions, it works. But I wasn't really fully 100% how it worked. But that's the beautiful thing about your methods. They are so simple and they are so direct. And that's something that I really want to kind of delve into and talk more about, because I
Okay.
want to try and get how your mind ticks, because
Oh, God knows.
very few people that can do what you do, John. But
It's amazing what espresso coffee can do to my mind.
well, before we get into any of that, for people that don't know John Carey, let's talk about who you are, where you came from, and how you got into magic. So, when did you start learning magic? When did the magic bug bite you, John?
When I was about 9 or 10, I was in hospital for quite a period of time having various treatments. And mum and dad were bringing lots of hobbies and toys and bits and pieces back and forth each week to the hospital. And most of them, as when we're kids, were 5-minute wonders, and then they got me a little book, and it was David Nixon's book of magic, published by the Penguin Book Company in the UK. And absolutely loved it. It was full of little tricks and stunts and puzzles and things like that. And then within a short space of time, Paul Daniels was on the scene in a big way on primetime British TV, pulling in crazy figures like 17, 18 million on a Saturday night. Bearing in mind, of course, in them days, there was only like 3 or 4 channels. There wasn't all the cable channels as it was, or, Sky and BT and whatever else, and then so a Daniels paperback book, followed by a Daniels box of tricks, visit to the library, and I picked up Walter Gibson's Encyclopedia of Close-Up Magic, great big hardbound with a picture of a hand with multiplying billiard balls. I always remember that picture. And I kept rehiring that book out and everything. There was a few fines along the way as well where it was overdue. It was great. And then I think I got one of the Scarney books out, John Scarney, however you pronounce his name. And then in one of the books, there was, can't remember which one, there was addresses for mail order magic dealers, because there was no internet back then, I mean, as you know, Craig, I'm a dinosaur, so
Hey man, same here.
and I sent away for little lists in the next year or two, and during that period, and I got little lists back, little letters and little catalogues from companies. One of which you'll know very well from back in the day was the Supreme Magic Company down in Bideford in Devon. And they were one of the premier magic companies, not just of the UK, but in the world. It was them and pretty much Magic Inc. in Chicago, in the States, and Tannen's, I guess, in New York City. And they sent me this great big catalogue, and it had a little voucher as well. And I just started saving pocket money, and mum and dad used to treat me to little bits and pieces. It was like every couple of weeks, dude, there was little packages waiting for me when I come home from school. And sometimes mum or dad would tease me, and I say, it's the parcel arrived, because Supreme's postal service was so good. I mean, almost the stuff was there the moment you ordered it,
Yeah.
And return of post really meant return of post. Sometimes they'd tease me and say, no, I said, go and have a bath and get yourself ready and have your tea and do your homework. And then later on, that parcel would appear as if by magic. I go, damn you, damn. But it was all good fun. It was all good fun. And I played with I was getting all these little toys and novelties through the post on a regular basis. But I didn't really have any kind of prime interest in sleight of hand. That came a bit later. But I heard about the IBM British Ring Convention in 1986 in Eastbourne. And that was my first proper convention. And Mum and Dad, because life was a struggle at the time, as I've said to our friend Peter at Alakazam when I did a talk some years ago. But they managed to get the money together, and I had 3-4 days down there, including my bed and breakfast, some money for magic treats and bits of food and stuff. And I went there, and I got to see the late, great Harry Blackstone float a light bulb in the Congress Theatre. It was like shock and awe, really. I was literally transfixed. I will send the bulb up to you. Do you remember that moment in Harry's act? Just unbelievable. And on the close-up side, I went to watch the late-night close-up gala in the HQ hotel, the Cavendish Hotel, if my memory serves me right. And there were 3 great artists on the bill that night. Mike O'Brien, a consummate cabaret and close-up performer from the UK, very well known at the Magic Circle over the years. Very funny guy, comedy act. Great chops as well. The late, great Aldo Colombini. Need any introduction. And my pal, the late, great Kevin Ray. And that was the first time I met Kevin. You knew Kevin. And I got to see him perform the Cuts and Balls. I got to see him perform what I later found out was called Al Schneider's Matrix, the pure version. None of this coins skimming around and hands moving like you've got some nervous tick. Pure magic. And he did the routine he did on the Daniel show, his version of the Bill Simon trick, Call to the Colours on the March. I think it was a Martin Nash handle. Blew my mind. And Di Vernon's Triumph. And he threw in that lovely 6-packet display of the late great barrels. Blimey, it's a common thing to this. I keep talking about people who are no longer with us, but they're heroes of mine, And with Kevin, I went up to him afterwards and just said, "That's amazing." I said, I'm just buying little pieces, bits and pieces from Supreme Magic. And Kevin always had good things to say about everybody. And he said, they're a lovely company. I buy lots of things from them. And I said, but I'd love to do the kind of magic you're doing. He said, well, you're going to have to work hard. You're going to have to study. You want to learn card magic? I said, I'd love to, proper card magic. I had a few packet tricks at the time. And he said, meet me the next morning for a coffee. So we did. And he took me over to this big, huge stand in the dealers. And it was Magic Books by Postan, who were the premier book dealer probably in the world then, with Magic Inc. again in the States. And he asked Donald and Betty, who you'll remember as the owners years ago, to pass over that orange-coloured hardback book. It was Royal Road to Card Magic. And that was the day everything changed. Everything changed. Kevin and I kept in touch because he lived in London. I lived in London many years ago before escaping to the sticks, where I am now. And he never charged me a penny. And he actually showed me what each of those chapters should look like. He'd actually perform the overhand shuffle section and the tricks with it, the key card section and the tricks with it. But he'd never let me jump ahead. He instilled a discipline and a focus in this young kid who prior to him was just messing around with bits and pieces. So that was the start of it all, and it changed my life.
That's fantastic. That is absolutely amazing. And I want to get back to a couple of things that you've said there. But first of all, let me just work out what's happened from there. So now you're in a position where you're young adults, you're studying serious sleight of hand. You've been in magic for an awful long time. How did you go from there to starting to think about creating magic? Because you think of yourself more of a creator than a performer. Is that fair to say, John? I don't want to insult you.
Oh, true. Absolutely true. Years ago, when I used to work on the railways, we can talk about that job if you want to as a ticket clerk, or not, as the case may be, a bit later. But I used to go out and do gigs because I had some very generous friends in the business, like dear Kevin, Bill Retisar, and other people who, there was loads of close-up work. I mean, you used to travel to London and do a lot of dates, right? There was loads of work. There was so much work at one point. It was ridiculous. I mean, Faye Presto used to say to me, you could go up to a tree and shake it and 10 bloody close-up magicians would fall out, for better or for worse. And I used to get a lot of referrals and do these multi-magician jobs, and sometimes on my own as well, and work with agencies such as Theme Traders and Nick Pico and people like that, Sharper Solutions and stuff like that. And but I just used to do the bog standard stuff, really, nothing really original. Because in them days, at that stage, I was pretty much just learning the stuff from the books, videotapes as they were, later on DVDs, and what have you. And then for some reason, it just crept up on me actually about 15 years ago, give or take. Um, I don't know. I just started to look at my magic in a different way, um, thinking about stripping down effects that I thought were overhandled, trying to find smoother pathways to get to the end product, but without having to work my ass off, you know. And because a lot of effects were loaded with moves, and I paid my dues like you, Craig. I worked through the Jennings book. You know, well, Larry had a couple, but the classic magic of, in particular, I got that book before I was ready for it. Actually, Kevin actually sort of chastised me. He said, "You're not ready for that yet, John." He said, slow down," you know. But like some of that stuff read like Russian. But then, actually, a few years later, that stuff started making sense because of my study. Where was we? Yeah, Jennings, blah blah, Dingle's work, and some of the Marlowe work, and what have you. And I don't regret those years learning how to a card and you know all the various techniques for controlling cards or a card and what have you. But then I just started looking at things and stripping down stuff, and I don't know. I don't know what caused it. I think it was just evolution. I think you go through that period where you you get a set of chops, and then later as you get older, I don't know if it's age or maturity, magically speaking, you start to think about simplicity. You
Yeah,
know, stripping out all the unnecessary clutter and just focusing on the effect. Almost like what Tommy Wonder used to say: to dream the effect. If you could really do it, what would it look like? And you try to get as close to that goal as possible. Sometimes you're nowhere near that goal, but sometimes if you get close to it, it's a rewarding exercise. You know.
absolutely. And that's something I want to delve into in a bit. But first of all, so you're out doing gigs, you're performing, you're working for various different agents, you're doing multi-man jobs, you're doing this, you're doing that, the other. You've also got a job on the side at the same time.
Yeah.
But now you don't really perform as much. Now you're just a creator, and that's fantastic. And there's a lot of people like that. I was speaking to Joe Rhinefleet recently, and he said his expertise as a magician is as a creator, and that's what I think of you as. When did you make the decision to kind of stop going out and gigging and instead focus on sort of the creating side of things?
I can tell you, it was almost 6 years. Well, it was 6 years next month, actually, March 2015. After a lot of soul searching, what had happened is Magic Scene, Mark Leveridge and his associates approached me some months before that about putting a hardbound book of, because I'd started putting out ebooks and things in the year or two before, you know, and also I'd done DVD projects with Russ at RSVP.
Yeah.
Russ Stevens, hey Russ, if you're watching, thanks a million for all you've done for me over the years, and people like Peter Alakazam and Owing, etc. You know, I never forget where I come from. You know, I mean, I grew up on a rough council estate in London. Mum and Dad didn't have very much, so you used to have to do 2 jobs each, work at weekends, just to keep our heads above water. You know, so I know where I come from. You know, and I never forget that. It doesn't take a moment to say thank you and be appreciative. Anyway, I'm going off on tangents. I told you I would.
Your tangents are super interesting, so I've got no problem. You go off and go around the corner and then come back. Do what you want, man. This is your interview. It's all good.
All right, okay. And I haven't said any lame jokes yet. I warn you, there will be one or two. Yeah, so about 6 years ago next month, after Crafted with Carey come out, the hardbound collection, the year before, I was getting inquiries from literally north, south, east, and west, UK and overseas, for we'd be interested at some point if it's possible for you to lecture and blah, blah, blah. But I had a job on the railways then, a job that I'd come to hate anyway. There's a lot of people who know me will tell you, you know, getting up at insane hours for a permanent early shift, getting up at 3:30, 20 to 4 in the morning. I mean, you're just rolling in from the nightclubs at that time, aren't you, young Craig?
Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, hit the clubs every night.
And physically and mentally, that job was killing my soul, man. It really, really was. And yeah, so and then the great Alexander Dekova, the wonderful magician and creator from Germany, genius. And Alex is a guy a big debt of thanks to. He liaised with another guy and took on board. Another guy was going to run it, but Alex said, "Leave it to me. I'm going to organise this." And typical German precision, he organised a lecture tour, and he said, "Well, I've got these dates for you." It was like 16, 17 dates through the German-speaking countries, Germany, obviously, Austria and Switzerland, literally everywhere, you know, around those countries. Well, not everywhere, but a fair proportion of them. I said, that's lovely. I said, but there's a problem. I've got a job. And, and he said, well, the tour is there for you. Can't you take some time off? I said, I don't have enough time off to take. It was, it was best part of 3.5 weeks on the road, with some workshops in between as well as those lectures. And I said to my late mum and dad, Chris and Maureen, I sort of said, look, I've got this opportunity here. Yeah, but you've got a job. I said, but that job is making me ill, and it was that job mentally and physically. I would be home by 2 o'clock in the afternoon. People would say, oh, lovely, you've got the rest of the day to yourself. When you've been up at 3:30 in the morning, you're absolutely knackered. I said another word behind my mouth there, my hand there, but you are, And I used to have some food, have a chat with mum and dad for an hour, and then go to bed till about 6 or 7, get up in the evening, have a freshen up, have my meal, watch a bit of telly with them, work on a bit of magic. By 10 o'clock, I was flaked out again, going to bed. That's no lifestyle. That's living to work, and I want to live, and I said to him, look, I want your blessing. I could just go ahead and do this as a grown man. But if you give me your blessing, look, this is the opportunity to travel to these beautiful countries, do what I love. I said, if it goes tits up, which is a British saying for if it all goes bad, goes downhill, I'll go back and get a day job. I said, just let me have 12 months to put my heart and my soul into this, 12 months of focus, where magic is my only means. And thank goodness they did, Lord rest their soul. And they always encourage me. And, and they're always with me, in my mind, in my heart, and my soul. And I did that tour. It was a massive success, thanks to Alex and his lovely lady, Helena, who drove me around these beautiful countries. I got to see some amazing places, meet some wonderful people, some fantastic hosts. Me and Alex, anybody who knows Alex knows he likes the beer, and we got slightly inebriated at the hotels a couple of nights. But hey, it was fun for doing card tricks,
Absolutely.
and one or two other crazy things, and that kind of spiraled. Then the year after that, Pascal Marc, who organises the European tours, multi-European country tours, he approached me while we was in the session convention in London, Andy and Josh's bash, and said, would you like to do a tour? I have organised for Daniel Garcia, Josh J, Michael Lamar. I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, this is John from, council estate in North London originally, and this guy who offers premier magicians around the world the chance to lecture is asking me and says he can do it for me. And things just, these were the catalytical moments, the catalysts, how I used to build on it. And then within, and I didn't even mention Minimalistica. I decided after the first book, which was published by Mark and Magic Scene, Mum said to me, it'd be nice if you wrote your own book and produced it yourself. And I said, well, I'm not good at IT. He said, do you know anybody who can help you? And via Peter at Alakazam, I hooked up with my great buddy, Phil Smith, who's become a very close friend. Anybody who knows Phil, he has a company called Sushi Design. He is an amazing graphic worker, web worker, designer, editor. He formats all my gibberish for me and everything, and since then we've done 6 books, including Myriad recently, which was a pre-Christmas release. So basically I've put out 7 books in as many years. Left the railway, got to travel to America as well on a tour September before last. Did the whole of the East Coast by Tom Craven, my great friend over there. And prior to that same year, the year before last, got to go to Australia, I'm pinching myself, Australia and New Zealand, and did a wonderful tour there for 2 lovely gentlemen, Sean Taylor in Australia and Alan Watson in New Zealand. And that whole month over there, that was a combination of lectures, workshops, and some lovely vacation downtime, holiday time as well. And, getting to walk along Sydney Harbour with all the lights lit up and everything, man, it doesn't get much better than that, and doing a few card tricks.
No, I think there's a lesson to be learned from there, which is don't be afraid to take risks in life. You've only got one shot at life. It's not like this is a trial run and it's like a computer game. And when you die, people go, right, okay, now you get your extra life. This is it. This is done. And you don't want to be in a situation where you're regretting stuff. And
no, because if I hadn't have made that leap, Craig, I know it would have destroyed me. I know it would have, I know it would have destroyed me because that job was making me ill as well. My nerves weren't in a great way, my nerves, and and just totally physically and mentally drained with it all, and working with the public in that respect in customer service is hard, especially when you work in a London suburban railway station. It's not easy.
I can imagine.
You know, it's not easy. And recently, like I was watching the clips. I love watching the music on some of the American shows, and I was watching a couple of clips on American Idol that's I think started up again recently, and there was one young lady from Tennessee sung an absolutely amazing song. She'd never performed in her life. She just did it for fun. And he said, "You don't give?" She said, "No." I said, "Well," I've never thought about going out and doing it. She said, "Young lady, you've got the gift." And he said, "You have to remember this." He said, "Remember this. Life only begins when you step outside your comfort zone." I don't know if that's true or not, but that kind of resonated with me, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
know, and yeah, so I've just kept going, touring. Obviously, the pandemic's put a hold to that. So last April, I had to reinvent myself. So I've been doing some crazy hours with our American friends and overseas friends, and as well as in the UK and Europe, doing Zoom lectures, my private teaching via Zoom. I teach people privately, and putting out various downloads with Peter Alakazam, who's been so kind and generous. And
You know what I love about you, John? You're the sort of person that has not let the pandemic affect them. You've looked at this whole scenario and you've said, okay, this is not good, but what does this make possible? And you've basically you're doing workshops and you're doing lectures all over the world from not, and you're not even leaving the comfort of your own home. And it's fantastic to see that you've been so innovative with this, and it's amazing. It really is. You're a
thanks
true.
for having me, because I looked at my diary back last March, April, dude. You know, not long after Mum left us, passed away, Lord rest her soul, and I went, oh, blah blah. There's my year gone. Blah blah being put in your favourite swear word, and you know, and I had a lot of overseas stuff planned. But obviously, everybody's life's been put on hold since the pandemic kicked in. And I bought myself this new laptop, nice little 15-inch notepad. Got myself a webcam. I got that just in the nick of the time, because it was like the world and his mother were trying to get webcams last year, families to keep in touch with loved ones and stuff like that. And I managed to get one just in time. I'm not a very technical guy when it comes to computers. I get people to help me a lot of time, and I call in favors. But I'd heard about Zoom on one or two of the magicians groups on Facebook. Did a few dry runs with some magic buddies and a couple of non-magic buddies just to learn how to use the kit. And thank you, Zoom. I wish I'd have had shares in Zoom 2, 3 years ago, dude. I would have been laughing all the way to the bank.
That'd be great. That'd be
Yeah.
great. Well, okay. So we now know where you started. We know where you are right now. I want to talk to you about a few specific things, but the first thing I want to talk to you about is creativity, because your name is synonymous with creativity. You said it yourself. You've written 7 books in 7 years. You've published hundreds of downloads. You've done DVD projects with so many different people. You've worked with so many different dealers. Every single week there's a new John Carey project coming out through a completely different dealer. It's like
it's not every week. It's not as harsh as that, but
but here's the thing: everybody always says how amazing your material is. I've never seen somebody trash one of your products, or I've never seen very many negative reviews for your product.
Oh, one or two cyber tigers recently, a few months ago, they trashed my effect remote, which was an effect designed for remote working that we filmed with Peter at Alakazam. The funny thing was, it was about 25-star reviews on the Alakazam site. People who actually purchased it loved it. It sold multiple hundreds of units around the world. I guess, you know, you can't be everybody's cup of tea, can you? You know?
No, you can't.
And also, these people had no real names. They were hiding behind handles.
What, you mean somebody's saying something negative about somebody else and they haven't got the balls to actually tell people who they are? Oh my gosh, I'm shocked. You know, that's
you know, and you know, one dude said I could do this effect, that effect, that effect, and that effect during that 7 minutes performance of yours. And I said, "Oh, you've forgotten something. You know, you could have produced a bottle of Jack Daniels and got Smash Buddy." And you know, and then I got off the cafe. I actually said to Peter, "I've got to get off that place." He said, "Do yourself a favour, stay."
Yeah, the cafe is toxic.
Was
but so creativity. There's a lot of people that are on this channel that are new to magic, or they've only been in magic for a few years, and they want to be more creative. They want to create their own effects. Now, I want to talk to you later on about creating effects to sell. That's something I'm interested in talking to you about. But for now, I'm just talking about creating your own magic, maybe to perform yourself at your own gigs. As somebody that has created so much magic, could you explain the process that you go through. Like, how do you come up with so much original material? How do you find the inspiration? What is that process that goes from the start to the finish?
Right. Well, firstly, great questions. Firstly, for those newbies or people relatively new, um, everybody is creative in some way or another. If you take aside magic for a moment, if you go and cook a meal in your kitchen, you're being creative. I'm not, because it's usually just 2 chicken burgers and a couple of buns and a can of beer, and I'm happy. But, but cooking, if you do it, in a nice refined way, and you have the ingredients, that's being creative. But new people, the point I want to make, and I always say this to students and friends when they ask this kind of question, is you've got to have a foundation. I know it's cliche, but you can't build a house without the foundations. You've got to have those basic tools, those basic skill sets, whether it's card work, have a background. I guess the modern day equivalent to the Royal Road would be Roberto's Card College series, just volume 1 alone. I maintain that if somebody diligently works through Card College, just volume 1, never mind all 5, for say 18 months, 2 years, and doesn't go near anything else, they'll be doing better card work than probably 80 or 90% of the fraternity. True. I really do believe it. I really do believe it. And in terms of process, I don't really have a process. I have 2 magic words, and they're what if with a little question mark afterwards. I just say what if we could, and then I go through a process of tinkering with an effect. I've never invented no new plots. There are very few new plots in magic. Again, cliche, but we are all standing on the shoulders of giants' growth.
Absolutely.
However, there's stuff out there which inspires me. Construction. I admire people. One of my heroes in the last 20 years has been John Bannon, and John is a genius.
Yes, he is.
And it's interesting that John's magical evolution has been kind of interesting over the years, because his earlier works did contain some sleight of hand, not heavy knuckle dusting sleight of hand, but there was work involved. Whereas John, in more recent years, with his projects he's done with Owen and Liam at BBM, Big Blind Media, it's been all of pretty much of the semi-automatic variety, and I love John's thinking. He's been a big inspiration, big inspiration. I don't have an official creative process, but I like tinkering and playing. Rule nothing in, rule nothing out. It's almost like there's, throw a deck of cards in the air. Some will land this way, some will land that way. Oh, we don't want them, so let's work with these. Oh, maybe not those, maybe these, and I read one time that the Professor Vernon used to like playing around with the patterns of cards and things, and just seeing what, for effects using mathematical concepts and stuff like that. Sometimes you can almost play magical solitaire with yourself and discover things about cards and, and stuff like that. So I'm not sure that's a great answer, but hopefully it helps somewhat in it,
It does. So would you look at somebody's trick and use that as a starting point and go, well, okay, this is a good trick. You've learned this trick from this book or this project. This is a good trick, but I can now take it in this direction or this direction or this direction. Is that something that you do sometimes?
Sometimes, yes. But just like you, though, Craig, I love still supporting our fellow creators and magicians and buying a new book or a new download and learning. And I always learn the effect. If it's, say, a download, I buy from whoever, I always learn the effect absolutely exactly as it is first and foremost. And then I start thinking about it and then maybe try and put my own spin on it, and maybe little bits about it I didn't like or care for. Yeah, and I think that's what we do, I think that's what we do. I like taking the moves out of effects, not just for the sake of it. If an effect requires a move like a cull or a control or something, I don't want to be too move specific here, because it's not just magicians, it's magical fans who watch your channel as well. Don't really want to go down the route of exposure or anything like that. I was going to crack a gag then, but that one's not going on this. What was I saying? Yeah, I was going to crack a gag. No.
You don't take moves out of, you were talking about moves, and sometimes you'll eliminate moves.
Yeah, but there's a price to pay sometimes. Sometimes a move is the best technique for the job. But I can get the job done without compromising the effect and the impact of the effect. The subtlety will win,
Well, that's what I like about your magic, John, and this is something that I don't see many people doing. which is, it seems to me from the tricks that I've seen you create and publish, that you look for the simplest possible way to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Now, simple doesn't necessarily mean easy. You are
No,
not afraid to use sleight of hand.
I
You and
know.
I both know that the simplest way to control a card is with a pass. Might not be the easiest way, but from the audience's point of view, the simplest way is put the card in the middle.
Yeah,
Done.
card is returned, no shuffling, no cutting, pack pot on the table, and you're already ahead of the game.
So simple, I need people to understand that are watching this. Simple and easy are two completely separate things. People sometimes confuse simple with easy, but you're also more than happy. I mean, look at Stealth that me and Ryan reviewed. There's no, you created an amazing any card at any number by introducing a self-working principle and a very, very, very nominal stack that you can get into in seconds that allows you to, in the mind of the spectator, have this incredible any card at any number that they feel they're in control of the whole time, with no sleight of hand, no palming, no nothing, just literally completely self-working. And it's that you do that I'm so fascinated in. The you try to find the most direct path to create. And I think, and I'm trying to work out how you do this. And I think one of the things that you do, you must have an incredible knowledge base, so that when you're, you have multiple solutions to the problem. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like some people in the business who like, keep files on different tricks from different magazines and books and things like that. I just keep stuff in my head, really, pretty much most of the time, that I like and I play with, and I do keep notes, but more so these days, digitally speaking, rather than good old-fashioned notepad and paper. One thing, by the way, that I've used over the years, it's not very high tech in terms of a mobile or a cell, as our American friends say, is the audio app on my phone. That's been a godsend. That really has over the years. If I get an idea and I'm sort of like, it's late at night and I can't be asked to type anything up, I'll just do the nuts and bolts. I'll send myself an audio or an email to revisit that the next day after I've had a good night's sleep, and that's a good way of keeping on top of things,
That's very, very cool.
Yeah, yeah, and other influences, Danny over in Spain in Estepona, Danny Duartes. He's been a big influence as well, because a lot of the stuff Danny does is sleight free, but he's devious as hell. He's manipulating people's memories of the effects, the timeline of the effect, their thought processes. And I love throwing smoke around effects as well, and Danny does that a lot as well. I mean, in Stealth, there's a moment with that where there's some linguistic smoke thrown around that to try to create the impression of a genuinely thought of card, when in fact it's
It's great. Well,
yeah.
I see you have a deck of cards sitting down on the table. Here's an idea, and I'm putting you on the spot now, and feel free to say no, but
No.
thanks. Could you perform one of your many creations, and then maybe give us a very brief synopsis of how the creative process went with that trick? Like, okay, this is the trick that I've just performed. I got the inspiration for this from this, and then that led to this, and that led to this. And it might help us understand a little bit about how your brain works. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I mean, I have got something to show you, and literally this is a couple of days old, and I can't really claim anything here, but I saw somebody, a friend of ours, Howard Hamburg from the States, performing a beautiful effect with multiple cards using what I'm going to be using in this effect without giving too much away, and I loved it. And then I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice? I thought, wouldn't it be nice if we just concentrated on one card, maybe using the same concept? Sorry if I'm being a bit, but we can give it a try. We can certainly give it a try with these guys. And you're going to help me actually, Craig, if you don't mind, of course. If you don't mind, I know you like sitting there just relaxing, doing questions, but we're gonna try a little something with these guys with you now. Now, excuse me. Cards have been used not just by magicians and gamblers, but by fortune tellers, gypsies, shamans, and psychics for generations as a tool for divination and a means to talk about the past, the present, and the future. Oh, by the way, did I tell you the past, the present, and the future Walked into a pub in Birmingham last night. It was tense. I told you it was a bad joke. It's a bad joke. So here's the deal. In Western cultures, the number 7 is often considered a lucky number, yeah? And according to my friend Howard, who I mentioned earlier, the number 8 in the Asian culture is synonymous with luck. I guess it's like infinity. It's never really ending, if you know what I mean. 13 has a reputation for being an unlucky number. I know tarot readers and people who deem themselves as psychics to use the number 13 in a most mysterious way when they lay out cards and read people tortures and stuff like that. Now you look interested. So we're going to try something, yeah? We're going to call it the Ritual of 13, yeah? The Ritual of 13. So firstly, I'm just going to riffle down through the cards like this, and you're going to say stop, and we're going to lay a few random cards out on the table. Okay? Are you ready? Say stop.
Stop.
You happy right there? You don't want me to go 1 or 2 more?
That's fine.
Okay, and from that random point you stopped at, we'll deal those 3 cards out there. These 3 cards will actually tell me something about you as well, because there's lots of symbolism built into cards: the suits, the clubs, the hearts, the spades, and the diamonds, for example. And at the same time, we're going to play the ritual, the number 13. So let's see what this random card is. That's a 2. That's a 2, yeah? 2 to tango. It's a heart. That tells me you love with a passion what you do for your work, your family at the forefront of your life, and you do everything in your power to provide them with as best life as possible. But that's a number 2, so we need to play the ritual of 13. So from 2 to get to 13, we'll count and deal. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay? We'll move on to the next card here. That's a 4. It's a club. Now, clubs denotes groups of people, associations. Now, you love people around you, good, positive people, not negative people. You've got no time for negativity in your life. So I think of clubs as in social clubs and groups of people. It's the number 4, so we play the ritual of 13. We deal from and count from 4. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And remember, you could have selected any cards. And finally here, we have a jack, very colourful card. I mean, when I think of colourful, I think of you and your work on your fantastic TV show online. You don't hold back. You wear your heart on your sleeve. But if something's got to be said, you say it. You're quite a colourful, jovial character. When did you last get called jovial, Craig?
It's been a while.
Spades. I think of shovel. Spade, like a shovel, gardening. You're not frightened of hard work, man. I know you're not. I mean, you prior to the pandemic, physically out at gigs with your motivational work and all that, you truly are one of the hardest working people I know. Now, Jack is 11 in a pack of cards. So if we adhere to that mystical ritual of 13, Jack is 11, that's 12, and that's 13. So the cards have told us something about you and your character. We haven't dug too deep. We've kept it light-hearted, but hopefully there's some kind of, you've picked up on some of the things I've said there, and you look like you pretty much agree with most, if not all of what I say there, yeah?
Absolutely. Yep.
The fact of the matter is, at the beginning of the pack we shuffled, you selected 3 random cards: a 2 of hearts, a 4 of clubs, or a jack of spades. But that could be a 5 of diamonds, that could be a 6 of clubs, that could be a 9 of hearts. Any numbers are possible. Numbers play an important role in your life as much as mine, Craig. You've got the number on your house door, the number on your mobile or cell phone, lottery numbers, your national insurance number, your car registration number. The list goes on and on. But maybe these cards are telling us something else, Craig. Because that's a 2. If we add 2 plus 4, that's 6. 6 plus 11 for Jack is 17, correct? 11, yeah. 15, 17. But that could be a higher total, a lower total, anything is possible. Mm-hmm. But we're now actually going to take that number 17, generated entirely by you, and deal down through the pack one at a time. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and we arrive at this card here. A different number, a different total would have been a different card. But I didn't tell you was though, Craig, or our friends at home, is that underneath this blue tally-ho box, I have a playing card. It's a card from another pack. The card at your total number was a 3 of diamonds. Sometimes in life things happen you think are surprising. Other times things happen which can't be explained. Yesterday is one of them.
Fantastic. Very, very good. Very good.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Not a Saturday night table hopping trick, but for the right people at the right time.
Well, that's the thing. I love the presentation to that. I've been quite vocal on the channel, and I said that one thing I'm not too keen on is tricks where there's excessive amounts of dealing. Now that's got dealing in it, but for me, that's done the right way, because the dealing isn't just done for, I see tricks where it's like deal 10 cards. Now deal 10 more cards. Now deal them into 2 piles. Now deal 10 more. And there's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just you're dealing until people want to like just blow themselves in the head. What you're doing here is you're doing dealing, but you've crafted this whole presentation around it so that it makes sense, so that the dealing, people are invested in what you're doing because of the story that you've told before that even starts.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and you have to do that with effects that involve dealing or process. You have to do that, and trying to create an emotional hook that keep things moving, rather than I see a lot of magic, like you say, it's almost you see a lot of this magic with heavy process where there's no real presentation. It's almost like the guy or the girl is basically doing the magical equivalent of cooking a recipe. It's like, I call it like cook recipe magic. Do this, do that, do this, boom. But there's no presentation, there's no meaning or feeling or anything to it. Without this presentation, that effect would be probably like walking through the Sahara with a 50-kilo backpack on your back. I just tried to put. I'm not the strongest presenter in the world of magic by a long stretch, but one thing I've learned over the years is just to throw a basic framework around something. Something Eugene Berger used to talk a framework, and but also give room for people to interact. There was moments there where I paused and got you to respond to something. I cracked that silly little joke about the tenses and the pub. You've got to know who you are and what you are. It took me a long time to feel comfortable in my skin. It took me many, many, many years. And I got to a point where I thought, I know who I am and I know what I am. I know I'm happy with who I am and what I am, and this is what I do. And if people enjoy it, great. If they don't, no problem, no problem. But this is how I roll. I love effects which are basically, I never feel like I'm on performance-wise. I'm just, the fact that I've got a pack of cards here and I'm having a chat with my mate Craig on his internet TV show is neither here nor there. I'm still John at the end of the day. The John that you met at the Staffordshire Magic Society years ago.
Yeah, absolutely.
The waist size is bigger, but hey, that's life.
It's great. It really is. And I think that's so important that people learn how to script their magic, because back in the day when you and I got into magic, or after a while, we were surrounded by, L&L sets like Michael Amar and Daryl and Bill Malone and David Regal, and the list goes on, where they talk about scripting and that. But these days, a lot of tricks that come out, it's literally a case of this is the gimmick, this is how it works. And people are buying magic. They're doing what you did. When you first got into magic, you bought toys. That's happening now, but there's no information about scripting or anything, so that people buy stuff and they don't know how to present it because they're buying the latest and greatest trick and they're not learning how to present it. And one thing that I like about all the material I've seen you do is you do discuss the presentation and the scripting and what to say and what to do, and that's great to see.
Yeah, I mentioned on my thank you. I mentioned on my Facebook last night. There's a time and a place for all kinds of magic. Like, look, man, wham, bam, the coin has vanished or transformed into something, or the credit card has done this, or I don't know, smoke billowing out of your hands and all this kind of stuff. But I get more pleasure out of effects, maybe such as this, the stealth you mentioned earlier. You were so kind and gave a lovely review to recently. And effects where I can just have a conversation with people. Because I'm lucky, I'm in a situation where, all right, nobody can go out and gig at the moment, but I'm not in a situation where I must have 3 tricks that reset instantly. I must have this, I must have that. I like to call my own shots, and yeah. So that was inspired by a beautiful effect. I think it was called the Mystical 13 by Howard Hamburg. And I just realized the one core component of that effect worked lovely as essentially a prediction effect dressed up with a whole load of smoke and mirrors and a little bit of cartomancy, basic cartomancy. I'm no expert on that kind of stuff. Mick Wilson, you should try and get Mick on the show. You know, Mick Wilson is like the true Jedi of doing readings, cold readings, and that kind of stuff. It's uncanny. You know, Mick doesn't need cards or props. He just does it, and it's unnerving. It really, really is.
Incredibly skilled. Yeah,
Yeah,
people that do
yeah,
it, well, it's just unbelievable.
yeah.
So here's a question for you.
Cool, mate.
What advice would you give a magician who's wanting to release their own magic to the magic community? Because you've self-published, you've worked with various different dealers, you've done downloads, you've done books, you've done DVD projects. And what's really great to see that a lot of people don't do is everybody loves John Carey. I have never seen anyone, you haven't burnt any bridges, is what I mean. I've seen people work with a particular dealer and then they've walked off in a blaze of glory, saying, I'll never work with that dealer again. But you work with everybody. You know, so what I suppose the point I'm getting at is I'm a magician. I've been working on this trick. I feel that it's a good trick. I've checked and I feel it's original and I think it's worthy of publication. How should I try and get that out to the magic community?
Well, you've got options. I mean, if you've got a profile on social media has its minuses. Hell, we all know that. There's parts of social media I detest with a vengeance. Where people are just, it's like where people are just constantly posting doom and gloom and negative stuff. But if you've got a strong social media following, well, firstly, build a strong social media following, maybe amongst your brethren, your magician friends, if that's the route you want to go, or if it's for the public, obviously amongst the public, and getting a following, getting a database, if you want to go the direct route, but that's not easy. You need to have a following first and foremost. The other option to take, of course, is to go with a reputable producer or dealer. And I've worked with, I've been lucky enough, blessed to work with some of the best in the business. Russ at RSVP, Peter at Alakazam, Owen at Big Blind Media. I've done work with Penguin Magic. They flew me over there to Columbus in Ohio a few years ago, and they were first class. They were absolutely first class. Put me up in a beautiful hotel. Man, I could have had a convention in that hotel room. It was so big. And Murphy's, Murphy's. When I was on the East Coast tour I alluded to earlier, the year before last, Murphy's heard I was over on the East Coast. Would I like to extend my stay? They'll sort out the flights and additional costs and go and do an at the table. Went over there and did an at the table lecture, which I know you've done as well. We done one of those over in the UK as well together the same day, if I remember rightly, a few years ago. I've always been wary of not putting all my eggs in one basket, basically, spreading my magical wings, so to speak. I don't have the technical nous on the IT side to produce all singing, all dancing trailers and all that kind of stuff. I admire people who've got those skills. I'd sooner focus on what I do and hopefully do to a reasonably high and competent standard. Hence why I tend to go through third parties. And I'll be honest with you, they've been absolutely wonderful to me. Always been honest to me, especially Peter, Russ, and Owen. No bullshit. This is what it is. This is what I can afford to give you. This is the, you can have this X number of this in stock. Are you happy with that? Yeah, let's do it. And no keeping me waiting for payments, prompt payment. That's one thing that cheeses me off when you hear about creators who get shafted and get kept waiting for payments. And we all know stories like that, don't we?
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen to the gigging working magician waiting for performance fees for the public. Sadly, that happens. It also happens in the products world as well. And thankfully, I've been lucky and never had that experience. So that little bits of advice, but make sure you do your vetting. Run it by people are knowledgeable and everything. Make a video of it or send it into somebody you can trust for their perusal and advice, and hopefully that helps.
It does. How come, if you don't mind me asking, John, you haven't released many So, or if any, you release projects and books and projects, but yeah, I've never seen John Carey come out with like, "Hey, I've got this wonderful gimmick that's going to allow you to do this. You can buy it now for 19.99." You don't really do gimmicks as such, do you?
No, I don't. I wish I could. I mean, I've got a great friend in the States I met on that Columbus trip. He used to work for Penguin. He works for himself now, Nicholas Lawrence. And Nicholas is an absolute Jedi. He's phenomenal at making gimmicks, with bills, banknotes, as we call them in the States, with playing cards that shrink and change color and morph. And I used to say to him, I said, what the hell are you putting in your coffee, man, to come up with this stuff? It's insane. I wish I could do it. He said to me, well, I wish I could do one or two of the things you do, dude. Each their own. I've never had that facility. I've never been good at what we call over here Blue Peter magic, which for our friends overseas is that was a show, has been a show for children over years where, you get like sticky back plastic and cardboard and you cut things like arts and crafts. I've never been any good at that sort of stuff. I don't know what you're like at that kind of stuff, Craig. I'm useless at it.
I whenever I need anything made, I normally ask Sarah, my wife, to do it for me because she's exceptional. I say, look, this is the download. This is what needs doing. Can you do it for me? Because I'm terrible at arts and craft, and it drives me up the wall, to be perfectly honest. I hate it when I get a product in that I'm reviewing and I have to sit there for an hour and a half making a gimmick before I can do it. It just drives me up the wall.
Yeah, and I've had a bad time with gimmicks I've bought over the years for my own enjoyment. Things like expanded shell coins locking on me in performance and stuff like that, and other gizmos, yeah, I wish I had that ability. I've put out one or two packaged items in recent years, I'll just do a quick performance of this if that's all right for your friends.
I'm ready to. Yeah, please do,
yeah.
John. I could do this interview all day and just have you perform for me non-stop, and I'd be happy as.
He says the nicest things. What's your PayPal, buddy? Yeah, this is just something with a small packet of cards. This is actually reality. At this moment in time, this is the reality. But now we're going to enter the world of fantasy, yeah? And we're going to play a little mind game with you, a little game of imagination. I want you to imagine in your lovely home there that you're holding 5 playing cards, and they are the ace, the 2, the 3, the 4, and the 5 of spades. Ace of spades, 2 of spades, 3 of spades, 4 of spades, and 5 of spades, Craig. And some of those cards are odd numbers, some are even. But we don't need them all. So in your imagination, do you take out the odds or the evens?
I take out the evens.
That's the 2 and the 4 of spades. Further extending your imagination, which one of those 2 do you give to me? The 2 or the 4?
The 4.
Okay, so in Craig's imagination, he's decided to give me the 4 of spades, ladies and gentlemen. This could be an ace, it could be a 3, it could be a 2, it could be a 5 of spades. Any card is possible. But maybe 4 is a magic number. Back to the reality. This packet's been here the whole time, Craig. I'm going to count to 4. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3. Craig, look, there's that 4 of spades you just gave me in your imagination. But what's that choice? What's that chance? Or what's that your destiny? In fact, ladies and gentlemen, I think it really was Craig's destiny to give me that card. Wow. But you know something, Craig? There's a similar word to destiny, spelled with less letters. And where I come from, they spell it F-A-T-E. And that, my friends, is the day or the night where Mr. Petty or destiny truly meet fate.
That's great, John. That is so good. That is great.
Thank you very much.
That is so cool. Love that. Absolutely love that.
Inspired by Mr. Maven's classic effect, the wave, and just taking a different route or route, as our American cousins would say, with it. Yeah, and that's a little something I self-produced about 18 months ago. It's called Destiny. And I
want to put up at the bottom of the screen, where can people buy do you have your own magic shop that people can buy stuff from?
I did have a Facebook kind of thing I haven't maintained, truth be known, a while back. Things like that. If they hit me up, John Carey, on Facebook, they can find me on there. I'm very accessible. That little effect that comes with all the custom cards, Destiny. It's £15 plus postage. If they send me a message and they want one, I can get one off to them the next day, no problem at all. Yeah.
People that aren't on Facebook, is there
John Carey Magic at gmail.com.
Perfect. John Carey Magic at gmail.
Yeah, a message or an email. Be a pleasure to help you. Just let me sleep between 2 a.m. and 9 a.m. and the rest of the time I'm yours.
Well, we've been talking exclusively about card magic up until this point, but
yeah,
You got some chops with coins, my friend. I remember watching one of your very first lectures, and you were busting out some coin stuff that really impressed me.
Yeah, nothing like what I'm telling you before we went on the air today. This guy is insane with all these pure sleight of hand with regular coins, plus some of the machine coins. It was doing some amazing stuff. I was like, what? How the hell was that possible? Yeah, I mean, not long after the Royal Road kind of period, 2 or 3 years after the Royal Road period, I sort of went down the Bobo's route, Bobo's new modern coin magic, you know, and yeah, I have one or two little things. I can show the guys something now, right? If that's
Yeah,
okay.
that would be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just a little something with your imagination. If I just reach up there, I can actually find this 5 Swiss franc piece here, and if I reach over there, I can get another one. So 2 5 Swiss franc pieces. But if I go like that one goes, and go like that one goes too. But I can bring them back one at a time and go like that, and I go like this. You see, and oh my God, you see, there's one silver coin there, and there's one silver coin there. But maybe 2 coins is a lot to keep an eye on. So we'll just take this one. Watch this coin. Watch this coin just fade away into.
Very, very nice. Like, it's nice to see someone do the classic Tenkai pennies, John. That was,
Oh, that's David Roth, our dear friend who departed recently. That part of it is David's.
yeah, David's handling of the Tenkai pennies, absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. A beautiful way of actually using cap subtlety. You know, it's the perfect routine to understand caps. That's great. I mean, your coin work, that was great. That was awesome.
Simple, and you hardly need anything on you to do it, and you should be able to do it. One thing, can I have a sort of Craig-like moment where I have a little mini rant?
Go for it.
One thing that cheeses me off over the years is where people say, "Oh, I was out and I didn't know what to do," and this is people who've maybe been around, magically speaking, for a while. If you've got pocket change on you, even if you haven't got a trusty deck of bikes or tally hos, if you've learned your basic skills and you know how to do a bit of equivocation, do a prediction trick, if you've got some coins on you, all right, British coins are not the best for coins, but we're better off in some countries. We've got a £2 coin and a 50p, which are one slightly smaller than $half and one slightly bigger. You know, you should be able to do vanishes or productions, just a simple basic routine if people put you on the spot. The trouble is some magicians become whores to gimmicks. And if they haven't got their gimmicks on them, what do? Nothing wrong with gimmicks. There's some wonderful gimmicks out there. I mean, gimmicks are made far better these days than they were years ago, in my opinion, on the whole. But you should always be able to do something if somebody knows you're a magician. You know,
totally resonate with that. One thing
just a simple French drop, you know, and produce the coin behind somebody's ear.
I've been there when I've been there with a magician and a layman's come up and said, "Oh, you're a magician, do a trick," and they turn around and they say, "I've got nothing on me." Well, all you're saying at that point is that the magic is in the props, not in you. You should always, if you're a magician, you should always be able to do something, especially these days. You know, I can do a 20-minute act with this.
Yeah.
You know, I can do a 20-minute act with this. I can do a 20-minute act with coins in my pocket. And that's such an important point, John. I totally agree. The problem with coin magic is that a lot of magicians don't do it. And the reason a lot of magicians don't do it is because it's not that it's more difficult. The thing with playing cards, and you'll agree with me, I'm sure, on this, is playing cards give you instant gratification. I can learn a self-working trick and I can do it literally seconds after learning it. But with a coin magic, even if I'm using a gimmicked coin, generally I have to learn to switch that gimmick in. I have to switch the gimmick out again. And the thing that most people struggle with when they're learning coin magic is holding a coin secretly in their hand. It's why so many people don't palm cards with card magic. It's because of magician's guilt. They feel guilty holding something out. So
if you think about it, yeah, I know, mate, and I fully agree. But if you think about it, you know, just a basic finger palm. We'll talk about that. Just a basic finger palm. That's far easier than a magician's card palm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and that's the natural lay of the hand. There's none of this weird Dr. Spock kind of stuff here. You know, you know, and what have you. And, you know, you're just holding. And just learn to hold a coin in your hand. You know, Bobo talks about that with a classic palm. You know, just practice having a few objects on the table and picking them up while you've got a coin, you know, doing drills, putting them down, picking them up, you know, and stuff. Or when you're writing, you know, you're writing a shopping list out, keep the coin in your hand. When when you're watching a crap movie with a missus and you'd rather be down the pub, do that, you know, or something like that, you know. I love coin magic like you know, just recently I've really started to revisit coins, just basic vanishes and changeovers and stuff like that. And I'm having a ball with it. You know, it's almost like I have spells with coins, Craig, where I leave them alone for maybe 5, 6 months and then I revisit them with energy, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's very important, you know, when you're practicing magic. You know, I've seen so many magicians during the pandemic that have turned around and said, "Oh, I've lost my passion for magic. I haven't performed in a year. I haven't picked up a pack of cards in a year." And they've literally, professional magicians, that because of the pandemic, they've decided to just stop even practicing or even doing anything. And you know, I think that you have to remember that at some point, every magician started off in magic as a hobby, and you have to
Exactly. I mean, yeah, and you know, I've seen people say online on Facebook groups, "Oh, I haven't worked on any magic for the best part of a year because I've got nobody to go out and do gigs for." But hold on, what got you into magic? It was the love of magic and wanting to learn to do it. Why not spend some valuable time and some good brain food, you know, actually working on and learning one or two, three or four new pieces of magic, you know, and working on some presentation for them, you know. I mean, the way I look at it, the last 12 months has been pretty shitty, right? Let's face it, on many, many levels for everybody around the world. But it's also given us some time that we won't probably ever get again to actually be able to work on projects and things and do stuff where if you didn't have that time before, you certainly have now, you know?
absolutely.
You certainly have now.
And I've said this openly on the channel. I think that in years to come, people will look back at the pandemic fondly in certain ways. Oh, the time that I was able to spend with my family, the extra time I had to, you know, I mean, I've been able to, you know, do so much in the pandemic. What does it make possible? In your case, you know, you've been doing so much virtual stuff. It's amazing. So I think that people need to remember that magic should be fun. You should enjoy practicing it. Me and Ryland sit around every single day learning new magic, you know, and he loves it and I love it. And
it's wonderful. I want to go on record as saying I've watched 2 or 3 of your shows. I'm watching the Bizarro special in little chunks at the moment and loving it. And your little boy is an absolute credit to you and your other half and family. And he's infectious. He really, really is. And Craig was telling me beforehand that Ryland's on top of 3 different memorized text systems and all sorts of crazy stuff. For a young man, he's got a big he's got many years on a young man's shoulders, you know, and you should be so proud.
I really am. And that's why I started this channel, John. I started it because I wanted an opportunity to just do magic with Ryland. He was getting frustrated that he couldn't go out and perform for anybody. And I said, well, let's do a review show and let's just go and review magic and we get to perform it every week. And he's like, oh, that's a great idea. And that's where the whole thing came from. So yeah, it's super wonderful. And he's a big fan of yours. Stealth is now his favorite ACAN ever. So that's high praise because he's learned a lot of magic.
I'll send him over some goodies later. Check your email.
You know what? It's so weird. He gets that all the time because of being on the show. I'll have magicians ring up. I had Doc Eason just ring my phone a few months ago. And he's like, hi, Craig. And it was like 8 o'clock. It was about time Ryland was going to bed. He's like, hi, Craig, how you doing? I'm like, fine. He's like, can you put me onto Ryland? And he just had like a 15-minute conversation with Ryland. I'm like, this is Doc Eason ringing my kid before he goes to bed to talk magic. This is just the weirdest thing. And then we just have parcels come through with, hey, this is for Ryland. I'm a big fan of yours. Here's my new book. And he's got a stack of magic that people just send him. It's just, yeah, it's just incredible. He's
it's like Christmas Day every day for little Ryland.
It's so weird. It's so weird. Yeah, it really is. But
great. I love the he performed one of Joseph B's downloads the other week for you with the cards with the numbers on the back.
Yeah, he did a good job of that. That was a
Joseph from Italy is making us all look lazy, man. It's like he's got 4 or 5 downloads out every week.
I'm a big fan. You know, I think people think I don't like him because I've given a couple of his products negative reviews. But I think the problem with him is he brings out so much stuff. Not all of it can be a hit, and some of it isn't as good as the other stuff. He's got some amazing material, but then he's got some other material that, and I think he needs to spend a bit more time and rain. He's a bit like Jay Sankey. You know, Jay, as great as he is,
no filter.
And I think Joseph's the same way. And I think he needs to have somebody there that can say to him, actually, hold off on that one and work on it a little bit more. I think release that one. That one's ready. Hold off on that one.
Yeah.
That's but you know, who do I know? I don't know him personally. But so what's next for you then, John? Because this is a question that I ask everybody, and the reason I ask it everybody is because everybody I get to come on this channel to talk to me is amazing. And you've done so much in your career. 7 books, international lecture tours. You have influenced an entire generation with their magic. If you decided to shut up shop and never create another trick again, your legacy is set, my friend. But knowing you as I do, you're only just getting started. So is there anything on your magical bucket list that you haven't done yet that you'd like to do? I
don't keep bucket lists, but I kind of wing it as I go along. I don't kind of say, right, this is on my list, and what have you. One thing I am doing this year, shameless self-promotion, but I've decided to do a very best of collection in one really beautiful book this year, a deluxe book with a slipcase and everything. That's what me and Phil Smith are going to be working on and off during the next few months. So that's a big thing this year, because some of those books are out of print. You know, I only do X number runs on them and everything. You know, and once they're gone, they're gone, and then I move on. You know, but some people have only got into magic in the last 2-3 years, maybe don't have access to those to that material, and I thought a very best of collection would be lovely. So I ideally want to do that this year, pre-Christmas release. No, mate, honestly, I don't want anything else. I just want to travel. Travel is a big part of my life, you know, and is for everybody. But like families who want to go away for a holiday to recover from all this crap that's been going on. But for me, travel is a bug. I love traveling as much as I do love, almost as much as I love magic. And I just can't wait to get away. I'm probably going to be working remotely a lot and doing my online stuff from overseas quite a lot in the not too distant future. That's the plan. It's looking like, touch wood, we may, who knows with this pandemic, but we may, if we've got vaccinated, we may be able to go abroad a bit later this year. I know certain countries where tourism even, if I can get my teeth in, is crucial to their economy, like the people in Greece and Spain and stuff like that. And I love those countries. I've been there multiple times, and we're going away for 2 or 3 months and just doing my stuff, teaching my students, doing my lectures for clubs and rings and assemblies, and waking up each morning and with the beach and the sun in front of me. Yeah, that's what I want.
Well, let me ask you a question, John. You've mentioned throughout this interview over and over again your students, and it's very interesting to hear somebody. I've interviewed so many big names on this channel, and when they refer to people that buy their tricks, it's normally their customers or something like that. And you're referring to people as your students, and that's because you do a lot of online coaching now, which is amazing. So let me ask you a question. How can the people that are watching this, why should they have you as an online mentor? Because I've talked on this channel about the importance of having a mentor and the importance of having somebody that can guide you and help you, and somebody as knowledgeable as you that's offering their time up. I mean, that's just invaluable, because these days magic is the Wild West. And what I mean by that is, you go into a Facebook group, somebody can sound knowledgeable, but they haven't got a clue what they're talking about.
Unfortunately, that's the truth. You know, keyboard, what do we call them? Keyboard warriors, cyber tigers.
Yeah.
And a few versions that we're not going to put on a public internet show. Use your imaginations. Well, firstly, they don't have to come to me, but if people want a sense of direction and they've maybe into magic, maybe 1 or 2 years, I like working with people who are quite new, actually, because there's not too many bad habits to kind of unravel, you know. Because magic is like the Wild West, like you said, in terms of people. Everybody's got an opinion on everything. Also, as well, we never had the amount of products coming out back. We're not far off each other in age terms. It seems like there's like 40 or 50 new releases each day out there these days. You would think that's great, and there's some great products. Unfortunately, there's some crap as well, you know, as you've gone on record as saying recently, you know, and I reckon there must be quite a large dropout rate of magic, as well as people who stay into it and stay in.
Yeah.
Because unless you have a mentor or guide and some experienced people to guide you, you're going to get swallowed up by this smorgasbord of media. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and you've got no direction, nowhere to go. I mean, I tell people up front, if you want novelties, well, go to the toy store. I'm not your man. But if you want somebody to give you constructive advice, if you want to learn on purely on technique, I can help you there. If you want to learn on building a repertoire, if you just want to build a repertoire of tricks, I can help you there. I've got a gentleman I only started this week on working on his Magic Circle audition. He failed his first one, and I'm determined to get him through the second one. And so I can help people with that. I'm not one for building acts or competitions. I'm not a great fan of magic competitions. Actually, I've seen them affect people over the years, where people think they've been hard done by and stuff like that, and it creates a negative vibe, And no time for negative things in my life. As much as possible, I try to keep that side of things out of my life. Basically, I won't blow smoke up your ass. If I give you something to work on next week and it looks shit, I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll probably be a little bit more diplomatic than that. But I'll say, okay, that was fine, but at this moment here, and that's why I make sure all the students get a recording of each session. They can go back through it, and then the next week, session starts by them working and showing me what I've shown them. Praise them where praise is deserved. Very important to praise people to keep their motivation, confidence, self-confidence up. And then I'll say, well, that part there needs looking at again. Do you remember what I said when you hold the coin like this, or you hold the break there with a pack, or whatever, yada, yada, I don't blow smoke, basically, up people's backsides. I tell them honestly. But I'm lucky enough I've retained quite a number of people in recent times who enjoy the banter with me. I usually go way over the actual time that they purchase from me, because I'm not on the watch, especially at the moment. I'm at home here. Where am I going to go? And so an extra 20 minutes with that lady or that gentleman, that's not going to do me any harm at the end of the day. And hopefully they feel like they're getting some extra perceived added value out of the session. No reason to go to me, but I do try to offer the best value possible and not blow smoke.
And it's the best thing to do to email you to find out about this?
Yeah, via Facebook. If a lot of your followers, Craig, will have social media, Facebook or John Carey Magic at gmail.com for an email. Drop me a line. I'm not super expensive, and you do get a recording of each session as well.
And I can't tell people enough that are watching this how important it is to have a mentor. I have 3 business mentors when it comes to business, and people always think about business mentors, but in magic, it's so important to have a mentor to help you, guide you through what's good and what's not good in magic, and help you be the best that you can be. And there's very few people that do that have the technical ability and the experience that you have, John. So I really recommend that everybody reach out to you for that. I mean, absolutely amazing. I mean, this has been an awesome interview. This has been just a brilliant interview, and I'm so grateful that you came.
It's a great time, honestly. An hour and whatever it is has just flown by, dude. And it's been great. Today didn't promise much at all until we got the invite, and I'm just going to go out and take a little walk, go down to the little mini market and get some groceries and a couple of tins of beer for tonight. And I can honestly say, whatever today, I've had a bloody good day, and it's all because of you, Craig. Thank you.
Thank you, mate. Well, you know what? I'm going to say one more thing, which is for people that have watched this whole interview, the thing that I want you to take away from John isn't how good he is at magic. It's not about the creativity. It's not about the stories that you've heard or the mentoring. I want you to take away from John that he is a thoroughly nice guy. And the reason he's got ahead in magic, and the reason he's had so many opportunities land in his plate, is because he is a really nice guy. And that opens up so many doors. Just being nice to everybody and speaking. I've seen creators and I've seen stars in magic that will literally walk over to do their lecture and they'll walk off and they won't speak to anybody and they won't ignore anybody. So many doors and opportunities have opened for you because you are one of the nicest guys in magic, and everybody I speak to says exactly the same thing, and it's true, and that's so important. You know, it's like Wayne Dobson says, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice,
Oh
right?
yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. That's something I've always filed away in my head from Dobbo, you know, and yeah, I used to hear stuff. Thank you so much, Craig. It's been an absolute blast today. But yeah, I've heard stories about these guys. They do their lecture and then they just disappear to the hotel room and count their takings from their booth and you know whatnot. Why? Why? And if you get booked to go to a convention, you're not just there for the lecture or the performance. Be there. Be like a PR for the convention organizer. Hang around, session, jam, have a beer, or go to the local pizzeria or KFC or curry house and have a meal with these guys. These are people who spent money on your products and your time. It doesn't cost you anything to put something back.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. And John, one more time, thank you so much for coming on the channel. Everybody, his contact details are down below right now. They're going to be a link in the description. Make sure you reach out to John. And if you haven't seen any of his material, go check it out. It is so clever and so commercial. So, John, one more time, thank you so much.
Thanks a million, Craig, and continued success for your channel. You're building up a lovely following, you and your dear little boy, and I look forward to seeing future shows. And I hate watching myself, but I think I might watch this one back when you send me the link over.
You need to. You need to. You need to. And I think a lot of people are going to be inspired. So
be safe, everybody out there, home and abroad. And Craig, thanks a million, bud.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you so much for watching again. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, because I'm sure John will see it. So leave a comment down below. If you have any questions, I'm sure John will see the comment. And I'll be back again tomorrow with another video. So I'll see you then. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, everyone.